How cool is it to be run over by David Crosby? Is the West St. Francois County, Missouri School District teaching kids that Auburn is green or purple? Can Iron Age scribblings propel humanity into the future? For March 27th, 2015, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in almost fully thawed Cranston, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For March 27th, 2015, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. David Crosby, whom you may remember as a member of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young, The Birds, The Buffalo Springfield, various drug, weapon, and alcohol arrests, an exciting liver transplant saga, and being the biological father of Melissa Etheridge's 2 children, who were carried by her partner at the time. Anyway, Crosby hit a jogger with his car while doing 50 in a 55 zone. He was not impaired in any way and had reported not seeing the jogger because of glare from the sun. Apparently nothing to see here. Apparently move along. Savannah Keese, a junior at West County High School in Park Hills, Missouri, was sent home from school because she dyed her hair auburn, which is in strict contravention to the school district's dress code. The principal of the school, Eric Moyers, informed her that she could not stay in school because her hair was really bright, according to Miss Keese. The district's superintendent, Stacy Stevens, has stated that the school's hair color policy has been in place for decades, Fox News reported, and that the policy bars non-natural hair colors like green, purple, or green. Auburn, or reddish-brown, is a naturally occurring hair color, not like green, or purple, or green. I wonder how the crayons are labeled in West County. Ken Graves, a weird combination of 1980s-era Sean Connery machismo, the mental acuity of a broccoli floret, and the good ideas of Lloyd Christmas, is the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Bangor, in Maine. If that was all there was to it, there would not be any point in mentioning him here. Unfortunately, there's more to the story. Graves recently warned a gathering of conservative activists and likely Republican presidential candidates that gays, Muslims, and liberals were thus far successful in their campaign to take over the world. Thankfully, the atheists are not in league with the gays, Muslims, and liberals, because then it would be all over for those poor, oppressed Christians. Fortunately, Graves was able to warn that, quote, "We find ourselves, in all honesty, when we're being honest, we are conscious that militant homofascism seeks to take over our land and make it Sodom. We are also conscious that militant Islam truthfully wants to establish a worldwide caliphate. They want to destroy everything that we have, and complicit with them is the secularist. It is the secular humanist fundamentalist extremists. They want to make this their sort of secular humanist caliphate." End quote. It seems clear that Graves is trying to use the English language, but he clearly has no idea what a liberal is, what a Muslim is, what a gay person is, what a secularist is, or what their goals are, or what any of them are motivated by. Bravo, Ken. Bravo. Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. Let's rock. For the 21st, Gary Oldman. For the 22nd, Bob Costas. For the 23rd, Rick Ocasek. 24th, Louis Anderson. For the 25th, Jim Lovell. The 26th, Tennessee Williams. And for the 27th, Wilhelm Röntgen. Also dead. Wonder if it was radiation. That's Celebrity Birthdays. I'm Paul Torville, and I'm done! Don't go anywhere. Still to come, politicians don't listen, CNN discovers atheists, and the obvious is apparently not so obvious. Or apparent.
Have you been injured in an accident, or can you pretend to have been? If so, we may be entitled to 40% of any settlement you receive. We're the law offices of Angry, Bitter, Vindictive, and Rosenblatt, and we've spent over half a century profiting from the pain and suffering of people who, in some cases, didn't even know they were suffering or in pain. At Angry, Bitter, Vindictive, and Rosenblatt, our attorneys have the skills and experience necessary to turn almost any activity into billable hours, and that means you can pay us more. Angry, Bitter, Vindictive, and Rosenblatt, specializing in personal injury, family law, product liability claims, and almost any other area where emotion weighs more than evidence. Angry, Bitter, Vindictive, and Rosenblatt, getting richer off your mild discomfort since 1955.
Benny Hinn. Robert Reich, the diminutive former Secretary of Commerce under President Clinton, thinks he knows why the U.S. economy is doing so well, but those of us who aren't millionaires aren't feeling it. The opposite of what's happening in Europe. Whatever could be the cause? Could it be that despite working hard, ordinary Americans don't deserve to live as well as people in Europe? That's where I'm putting my money, but Reich thinks there's something else going on, beside Americans being unworthy sinners. In fact, he cites two issues. Reich says that corporations exert undue political influence on economic and regulatory policy. In fact, Reich cites a study by Professors Martin Gylens of Princeton and Benjamin Page of Northwestern University, which looked at just under 1,800 policy issues. They found that average Americans have a near zero impact on public policy. Who does have impact? Gylens and Page show the real influence rests with wealthy individuals and large corporations. The second factor is that large corporations domiciled in the U.S. have no particular allegiance to the U.S. Not that offshore outsourcing over the last 30 years was any evidence of that, or corporations hoarding offshore earnings offshore, or just pulling up the tent pegs and relocating to countries with looser regulations and lighter tax burdens. So U.S. workers put in more hours for less money, less vacation time, less health care, less paid family leave, and less influence over public policy than workers in Europe or even Canada. So clearly, organized labor is the problem. I want Robert Reich and Bernie Sanders to run for president of everywhere forever. As you may recall, Fox News contributor Todd Starnes is the flamingly sensible person who says amazing things. And now he's chosen to give Christian evangelist loon James Robinson a platform on which to speak. Always a good choice. Robinson remarked that if we could replace all the heathen legislators in the federal government with good conservative Christians, quote, the gates of hell would tremble, demons would shudder, end quote. Then, he said, quote, of all people on this earth that ought to stand up and protect the precious and be light to illuminate the way out of this present and pressing darkness, we're the ones to do it, end quote. Yes. By clinging to Iron Age scribblings from folks who claimed to know the world and be taking dictation from the creator of the universe and everything in it, but never actually describing anything outside a 50-mile radius of where they were at the time, that is exactly the kind of patriarchal, parochial, tribalist, rearward-looking, traditionalist thinking that will extract us from the problems we have, which result from patriarchal, parochial, tribalist, rearward-looking, traditionalist thinking. Thank you, Brother Robinson, for making it so clear. And thank you, Todd Starnes, for giving Brother Robinson a place to testify. Oh, I should have stretched before doing that. Oh. CNN aired a special report on Tuesday, Inside the World of Non-Believers, providing the rest of Americans with the perspective of the rational few. One quote CNN used to promote the report from evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins is, quote, "Evidence is the only reason to believe something," end quote. Does anything more need to be said? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Absolutely. Jesus said things that I believe because Jesus said them. I believe Jesus lived because the Bible says he did. Sure, there's no reliable objective evidence contemporary to the time when Jesus is claimed to have lived to support the claim that he was a real, actual, single historical person. That's why I believe it. Amen. Woo!
No. That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. And now here's Paul Torville with your exclusive pastcast weather. Here's your exclusive pastcast weather. For the Corn Belt, we had snowy conditions, chilly, then sunny, and turning warm. Then for Texas and Oklahoma, it was rainy and cool in the north, and showers and warm in the south. And then over here in the Great Plains, we had sunny conditions turning warm, then snowy periods. Not commas. Periods. I don't know. I'm Paul Torville. That's your exclusive pastcast weather. If you leave, you'll miss it. The trial you might care about, but probably don't. It's not just the Constitution. It's the amendments, too. And Canadian. I mean Cuban. I mean American.
Soot. You've been hearing a lot of not-so-nice things about soot. Mostly from tree-hugging, dirt-worshipping pansy liberals and people who think breathing is important. They will talk the ears off your head, droning on and on about wind and solar and renewable energy. What they don't tell you is that soot built America. Our modern post-industrial society owes everything to soot. If it wasn't for coal-fired power and diesel-powered transportation, America would grind to a halt. That's a fact. And as long as we have anything to say about it, and as long as there's profit to be made in government subsidies on soot, we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way. We're America's soot industry. Profitable, ugly, traditional, American.
Mark. And now, here's Moose Weintraub with a Sports Half Minute.
Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute. It's a whole half minute of sports. 30 seconds of sports. Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
This is your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moose Weintraub. Aaron Hernandez.
Moose Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
Thanks, Moose. Always a great report from Moose. Thomas Dunn, as a member of the town council in the tumultuous hub of scientific and intellectual advancement of the human condition, Leesburg, Virginia, has stated to the world, that God, not government, ended slavery and racial injustice in the United States. Dunn, that's with 2 N's. Go ahead and squint at that in a tightly kerned font. I'll wait. That Dunn person on the town council was vigorously refuting claims made by President of the Loudoun County NAACP chapter, Philip Thompson. See, Thompson was speaking during a public hearing having to do with setting up a diversity commission in the town. And the Mr. Dumb, sorry, tightly kerned font. Mr. Dunn saw no need for such foolishness. Thompson remarked, quote, "If the government hadn't intervened, I would still be a slave in the field picking cotton," end quote. This was just the spark that Dunn guy needed to ignite the tangled mass of magnesium shavings in his head that makes sound come out of his face. Here's what he said, quote, "Shame on you, Mr. Thompson, for throwing slavery into this discussion. There are people who feel that government is supposed to be the answer to everything. And Mr. Thompson, I don't believe that government freed our slaves we had in this country. That was an evil that this country had. It was the hand of God touching the hearts of man that freed those slaves," end quote. He said only God had the ability to end racism, then went on, quote, "Any shortfalls that we have in how we handle different cultures and races, that's holding yourself up too high, because that has to come from God," Dunn said. Jesus said, "I give you one commandment, and that is to love one another." He could have said, "Go out and create a diversity commission," but he didn't, end quote. Thompson pointed out that the 13th Amendment ended slavery. Then, much like Michael Palin's backpedaling cannibalistic funeral director in Monty Python's Undertaker sketch, Mr. Dunn said, quote, "Of course, there was a government document involved called the Constitution," end quote. So, none of what you said before has any bearing on the conversation going on now. Okay, good. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? Canadian-born Republican U.S. Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, has announced that he is running for President of the United States. Immediately, the Twitterverse and other online communities became incandescent with mocking proposed campaign slogans. If Cruz wins any primary other than Texas, I will be very, 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 very sad and disappointed. And not nearly as surprised as I'd like to be. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, you can submit your story tips online at newsundies.com or on Twitter using the hashtag NUSTip. If you like this video, please like this video. Have something to say? Leave it in the comments below. NewsUndies is a weekly show. We'll be back on Friday, April 3rd with fresh undies. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, circle us on Google+, follow us on Twitter, ignore us on MySpace, tell your friends, and buy NewsUndies, kitsch at newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at NewsUndies, until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be adopting a 5th kitten. Much like Michael Palin's backpedaling...
Jesus said things I believe because Jesus said them. I believe Jesus lived.
On Google+, circle us on the blackboard. Circle us on the blackboard. What? Who are you people? Who writes this shit? Oh yeah, it's me.
Jesus said the things... Oh boy.
Don't forget to like to it.
Is still on trial for murder. Gasp.
Providing the rest of Americans with a perspective of the rational few. Providing the rest of Americans with the
Jesus said the things I believe because Jesus said them. Said what?
Coming out of the back end of Moose in 3, 2, 1, mark.
This is your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moose Up. Whoa, what happened? Jesus said things that I believe. Oh dear.
See, 4 cats is good because then there's no tiebreaker. When they vote, they run the risk of having a tie. That keeps them fighting. Keeps them from overthrowing us.